Please tell us, what was the inspiration for Black Shield Maiden? Like, I know that can be a complicated question,
Yes.
especially when you get through this book and you just start seeing it's like a very complex weaving of different cultures and your perspective, or at least a beautiful portrayal of the different ways we can reflect gender in society,
Yes,
and
yes.
what it means to be a warrior, what it means to be a woman, what it means to connect. There's so much. So I'm just curious, what was the very first like spark or seed for Black Shield Maiden? And then how did that explode?
I could go into a whole, like, okay, this is what happened in 2015.
Yeah.
But I just want to go a little bit more emotional with it and be like, just the strength of the human spirit over time, what so many different cultures have had to go through and persevere through to be the most beautiful versions of ourselves.
Yes.
And I don't know, just the human spirit, the strength of the human spirit, and also the desire that humans have always had to come together and create a world that is more inclusive and just all more beautiful than what we see, to come together to create our vision of what this world could look like, what, you know, how we could treat each other, how we could live our everyday lives in a more just like open and inclusive way.
So the heroine, Yafe,
Yes.
Yafe dreams of becoming a warrior, a path that she hadn't imagined was available to her as a child. I want to know, why did you choose to make this character a warrior? Why did you choose to give her this path? And like, I don't know if you guys have gotten to read anything or hear the audiobook, which Willow does, because of course, she's willowing. Can we spread that? Okay, so she willowed it, and when I tell you, I went in just to make sure I had the pronunciations right, and I just got sucked into the story again. So it's an incredible performance. I would definitely recommend.
Thank you.
But I just want you to hear some of the prose, because but she is wild, and she is not ashamed. Neither are the other two. They are warriors. I don't know how it's possible, but somehow it is. By the time the horn sounds again, I've made my decision. So it's like, that was one of the where it just, I got glitter. I got glitter art, and I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful, because it's, again, I didn't just blurb this. Like, this is an incredible adventure, and this is such an amazing moment of like two cultures coming together, and like the way you guys did that. But just this moment of her seeing, again, it's beautiful.
Yeah, just seeing all the tears and the power that these women wield.
And you do, I think that's how a lot of us feel when we watch you.
Oh.
I know, you are like Alvatir for us, a lot. Yeah, I know, you don't, we'll all understand that soon, but I feel like we're like, yeah, I want to be different. And like, we don't maybe sound like you, but we feel it. So I just want to know, everything. I want to know why you gave her this path, but I also feel like she was created this way, and even the way she becomes a warrior is its own tumultuous little river.
I think that it makes me really, it makes me sad that a lot of Black women, you know, get deemed like, oh, you're angry, or you're too much, or you're this or that, and you know, that kind of gets just thrown out there without really thinking about like, what have we had to endure? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're just angry or this or that. It's like, no, there's a reason. And there's a whole history that if you, you know, maybe opened your heart just a little bit to what I'm trying to say, that you would see this is not just me being angry just to be angry. This is me wanting to fight for something that hasn't been fought for in the past.
Yeah.
And I think for Yafeyu, it's an ancestral, deep desire. It's almost primal.
Yeah.
It comes from the beginning. It comes from the very beginning of humanity. And it's that deep drive to protect the sacred, what needs to be protected. And I feel like in her previous life, in her village, that just wasn't, people didn't see her for that beautiful warrior that she was. They wanted her to be in a role of like, oh no, you're a woman.
Yes.
A woman stays here and a woman does this. And this is how we keep the peace here.
Yes.
And so the first time she sees Alva here, this Viking woman who's like wielding an entire battalion
Yes.
of warriors, which is something extremely rare. You know, I did a lot of research on just Viking culture
Yes.
and everything, and women had, you know, we've always been oppressed in every single culture over time, but you know, women had the right to get divorced. Women
Yes.
had the right to fight and be warriors and gain a name for themselves. And in this moment, Yafei was just like, wow, I never knew that existed. I never knew that could happen. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful moment of her realizing, like, this is so beautiful and I want to be a part of this. I want to protect what needs protecting and guard the sacred. That's Yafei's deepest desire, is to guard what is sacred.
Perspectives. I'm curious, how did that come to be? Like, did you start with Yafei, and then did you realize, oh, I want someone here? I'm very curious if you, like, if Alva's here always had a voice, or if you decided we need to see from her perspective?
I decided we needed to see from Alvatir's perspective.
Okay.
There was just so much happening historically. You know, I just want to give a shout out to Jess Kendall, my beautiful co-author. There were so many historical elements that I just didn't, you know, my job was the creative and being like, okay, the soul of Yafei, the soul of these characters,
Yes.
I need to stay on that and make sure that their soul is being accurately shown. She's with her mother and her two brothers, and they live this kind of nomadic lifestyle. She kind of feels like she's never really had a home. You know, her father was a merchant, and they were always traveling, and they were, you know, with him, and it was a beautiful life. But he had to go do his job, and they couldn't come with him. And you know, back in the day, it's like, you don't have phones, we can't even write letters. That's like so far, like this book takes place like before Christianity like is really starting to pop off. Like people are like, oh, Christ, huh? Sounds like that's a concept. That's a cool concept. I like that. And so it's way back in the day. So you know, we don't quite know what happened to Yafei's father, but
Yes.
that's a deep wound that she carries, along with her never feeling. One, she feels like she never had a home. Two,
Yes.
she feels like she was never truly accepted
Yeah.
by anyone but her family. No one, not even her extended family, not her uncles or nobody. You know, she was always different, and her father really gave her that solace of, you know, teaching her these things that he should be teaching his sons. The way that their society was set up is like, this is something that you teach your son. You don't go out with your daughter and show her how to kill things and make daggers and or whatever. But he saw that in her, you know. And so at first she's definitely hurt and she's trying to figure it out. But at the end of the book, I feel like she's at this place where she never thought, like, it's beyond her wildest dreams.
Yeah.
But she's still, you know, it's gonna take a little bit more unraveling of her character for her to get to the point to where she's like, like, I feel whole.
Yes.
At the end of this book, she doesn't get to that yet,
Yes.
but she has overcome so much and created connections with people that she would have never created connections with in order to really do what she's always wanted to do, which is protect the sacred. So she gets these people who have been oppressed.
Yes.
She meets these people who have been oppressed, and they connect and they realize, like, yo, we can change something about this. We can change the way that we're living. We can change this place that we're living to be a place of inclusiveness and love of each other and of the gods. Because that's a huge thing in this book as well, is their spiritual connections, the characters' spiritual connections. And so, yeah, she creates a place for people to feel like they can worship their gods in peace and worship each other in peace. No matter what line of life they come from. But she's still at the end of the book in a place of like, she hasn't really gotten there yet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Pain is like the one, weirdly enough. Like, we're always trying to avoid it and we're like, no. But then it's like, it comes into our life and it completely changes us, hopefully for the better. But pain is the real inspiration, for me at least. Like when I'm joyful and I'm like, oh my goodness, life is great, I'm not sitting there thinking, I need to write a whole novel about this. Yeah, this joy, this is 400 pages of this joy. Even though that's cool. I feel like when I'm writing a song, I'm trying to figure out a way to make my to me it's not very exciting, but to make my not exciting experiences sound like they're in a novel. Like they're in like a beautiful story. Like I try to, like when I write my music, I try to put my experiences in a way that makes it feel like you are reading a novel, like you are reading a poem. But with writing a book, I mean, we were eating, sleeping, drinking these I would dream about these characters. I would be talking to people going, oh my gosh, that's something Avatar would say. Wait, no, Yafei needs to it. It was just all the time. They're just so different. I don't think I can say, making music is slightly easier for me. That's what I will say. Slightly easier. It doesn't take 6 years to write an album or a song.
You're also the only writer in history I know of. You can correct me. I mean, at me if I'm wrong, but don't actually. I'm not going to check it. The only writer in history to drop an album on a Friday and then drop a book on a Tuesday. Dr. Seuss who? Like, where's the album? Oh, nice books. Where can you sing though? Can you sing? Can you sing? So
it's chaos.
It's a new question. I'm gonna ask that to every author. Oh, love your book.
Where's the album?
So no album, no fashion rollout.
Why does everyone expect me to make an album now?